Saving for retirement. Hello everyone, today I will be teaching you about mutual funds and retirement savings. The first part of this are mutual funds. A mutual fund is a compilation of various stocks, kind of like a music playlist with various artists. Mutual funds pile all the money that people have invested into it to buy single stocks. There is always a fund manager who buys the stock for the fund. Most mutual funds are diversified already, as the fund manager spreads out the stocks that they buy. When purchasing a mutual fund, here are a few things to consider. The first thing you should look at is the history of the fund. While single stocks, you would look at how they have done over the past 6 months to 2 years. For a mutual fund, you should look at how it's done over the past 5 to 10 years. Going along with that, you should look at how old a mutual fund is. You should not trust a mutual fund until it has been around for at least 5 years, and it is better if it has been around for longer. Another thing to consider are the additional fees that are tagged onto a few mutual funds. They do this because the fund manager is apparently an expert, and so they will fund you more money. One last thing to consider is the primary sector of the fund. This will help you diversify with everything else in your portfolio. This is a sample mutual fund that I have found. The code in parentheses is what it is traded under in the actual market. As you can see, it has had a rough last year, but statistically is a pretty decent stock. Inflation is about 6% every year, so you want to find a stock that is a few points above that to make some money. As you can see here, it is primarily a technology stock, though it is diversified among other sectors. Lastly, these are the biggest stocks that make up the fund. Mutual funds are used for long-term wealth building. You should not expect to win big immediately, as that won't happen. However, there is some guaranteed money. 97% of mutual funds have made money over any 5-year period of time, including the Great Depression, and 100% of mutual funds have made money over any 10-year period of time. Mutual funds are a great way to save for retirement. There are 3 different types of retirement accounts: a 401k, a traditional IRA, and a Roth IRA. A 401k is named after the subsection of the Internal Revenue Code that defines what it is. It works by an employee putting in a certain amount of money, and then the employer will match that amount, doubling the money. An example is a person putting in $100 into their 401k. Their company will also put in $100, so there's now $200 in that account. The only problem with this is that not all companies have 401k programs. If you do work for a non-profit, these will generally offer 503b instead of a 401k. If you work for the government, it will be a 457. These are all very similar, the only difference being which one, if any, your employer uses. The next type of account is the IRA, which stands for Individual Retirement Account. These work by putting money into them without paying taxes on them. However, you will still have to pay taxes on the money you take out. This is usually very beneficial, as you will be in a lower tax bracket when you retire than you will be when you are working. You can currently put up to $5,500 per year into it. A Roth IRA is similar to a traditional IRA in many ways. The only difference is that on a Roth you pay taxes putting money in and do not have to pay any taking money out. This is great for young workers who are in a low tax bracket. If you do not have either of these on a mutual fund, you would pay taxes putting money in and taking money out. These retirement accounts do not make money by themselves, but instead shelter the mutual fund of your choosing. These accounts act like a blanket over the fund, protecting it from full taxes. These accounts go up and down, just like everything else in the stock market. The reason these are important is because they are a safer investment. When choosing a mutual fund to put your 401k or IRA on, make sure it is not very volatile, as you want steady growth out of it for years to come.